Everyone, welcome to this edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams, your host. Now, today we're going to be talking with Adam Tandy. He is, of course, the producer of one of the most unique and very clever shows on television anywhere. It was a big hit and continues to be a big hit on the BBC. It is now streaming on BrtBox here in the United States. It's called Inside No.9. Now, Inside No.9 is like a little bit of a comedic dark comedy take on one of the shows I think most people who grew up in the 60s and 70s really enjoyed and lived on through syndication, of course, and that's The Twilight Zone. It's a very cleverly done show. And Adam and his crew of fantastic writers, actors, and directors just do a wonderful job of mind-bending you on a weekly basis. So Inside No.9 is quite the clever program. And it has achieved something that very rarely happens. And that is that critics like it, but more importantly, so does the audience. And that kind of perfect storm doesn't happen often. And Adam, I got to say, you got a hit with Inside No.9. It's a very well done show.
Well, I think it's a different sort of storytelling from most of the television that gets made at the moment. You know, there's a huge propensity for these very long box set type pieces which run for many seasons, and the storyline gets inched out over several episodes every season. You don't maybe get the whole of the story. So it could take you several years to get to the end of a story. But Inside No.9 is very, very tight. It's taut storytelling, 30 minutes of packed storyline. And it's you get to the end. You get to the end of a story. So that's quite a big plus.
It is.
The time-poor nature of most people.
It's also made perfectly for our binge-happy streamers now. You can sit down and watch it in 30 minutes and then get a whole new one the next time around.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I don't mind if people want to binge the show, but I think they're quite good to basically dip into every now and again. You watch one, see it, digest it mentally, maybe think about it for a while, and then maybe try another one another day.
That's a good idea. I mean, no question about it. The funny thing with the streaming world is that people tend to wish to look at something and go, "Oh, cool, let's sit down and watch that over the weekend," right? And so they'll watch 6 or 7 episodes over the course of a weekend. And
yeah, I guess that's the new thing. I'm new to this stuff because I wasn't a subscriber until about a month ago. I wasn't a subscriber to Apple TV Plus or Netflix or Amazon Prime. I just didn't do it because I'm so time poor, because I'm in production all the time. I just don't get to see more than an episode of something every so often. So I don't really binge stuff.
The funny thing is that, I've gotten to the point where I've got all of the services, right? But
well,
as you say, there's only a certain amount of time you've got in the course of your life that you want to devote to watching, shows. And I find myself kind of, I focus more on the British, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand programming, because
does that mean you right? Okay,
and I get used to it, and I have some fun with it, and it translates well. And one of the great things about BrtBox is that we don't have to wait. In the old days, you could have a show like yours may make it to the U.S. if we're lucky, in 2 years' time after you started it. But that's not the case anymore. We're getting it.
No, it really isn't. And people are hungry to get it right on day and date. So the Chinese are getting Inside No.9, I think, the day after. So the Spanish, and we've only just we're just about to transmit the season finale for season 5 of Inside No.9 in the UK, and I think the US starts the run of season 5 on March 17th.
It does, yeah. So we're a little out, but not that far.
No, really not.
What we'll do is we'll give everybody a nice, tasty preview. We won't give them we won't tell them what to look forward to, but we'll give them an idea of what they've seen in seasons 1 through 4. And if they haven't seen 1 through 4, well, then strongly recommend you guys binge. It's I
guess it's all on BrtBox, isn't it, at the moment?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And which is great. It's as a producer, this whole situation now with so many different potential streaming opportunities. I was looking at the beginning of 2020. There's going to be over 500 scripted comedy and dramas available in 2020. That's just insane.
It's insane. And you know what? It isn't going to last. It isn't going to last because the marketplace isn't big enough to sustain all of that output. As we've just said, there isn't time to see it all. And although, there's kind of room for niche players in the market, the big players aren't going to be able to make a profit the way it's going. So something's going to happen. You're going to find mergers or takeovers or something like that. And, the players are going to drop out slowly. And also you've got suppliers, you've got streamers like Netflix. They've been busy building up their library, and they will keep making new stuff, but they're not going to do it with such abandon. I wouldn't imagine. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I can't see that they're going to keep up that rate of commissioning and production.
Well, I think what we're seeing with the Amazons and the Netflixes, and I assume we'll be seeing it with the Apples, is what we saw this past year, where both Amazon Studios and Netflix produced major motion pictures that went into some theaters. That went for a time. Like The Irishman was out and seen in limited release, and then released on streaming. But they figure, okay, most people will see it in the theaters, but if they don't, they will be able to see it on Netflix, or the same happened with Amazon and Amazon Studios. So maybe they're headed in that direction. But I think what you've got with, what you're doing is, Inside No.9 is creating something. And you know what? I honestly believe niche programming and niche watching, like if you watch something on BritBox, Acorn, Sundance, that's British, you don't need to hit those large ratings numbers if you're hitting the audience that you want and the demographics that you want.
I think that's very true. I mean,
because they're really paying to see it. In other words, I pay my whatever per month, right? Because I like your stuff. So I truly, you're getting me because I truly want to see programming.
Well, that's great, because it means you're a discerning consumer of quality product.
Yeah, and the other thing is that you're getting, you're building a brand that I'm going to follow.
Exactly right, and that's exactly right, and it's all about getting user loyalty to a particular brand of programming. So on Acorn, I produced a show called Detectorists, which I kind of became a fan favorite, and it's one of those kind of sleeper hits that grew and grew on Acorn until it was picked up by Netflix, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then,
Hulu. No, it was picked up by Hulu.
Hulu, right? Yeah, but what you're doing with Inside No.9. What we'll do is, those of us who love the show will follow, other programming that you guys produce, wherever it may be. And hopefully, since we're doing this for BrtBox, that it is on BrtBox. But if it's not, there's other services, and we will find it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that's the brand loyalty that I'm talking about. It's you're not going to get Game of Thrones every month. I mean, that doesn't work.
No.
Those are things that happen, and it's lightning in a bottle, and it's a major thing. But what we're finding out in these niche programming is that people will pay a reasonable amount on a monthly basis to get what they want. And I think that's what streaming has done. Streaming has done this. It has given people the opportunity to watch Inside No.9, right, whenever they want to, because prime time is whatever you want it to be. And it could be 4:00 in the afternoon if I'm on a train from DC to New York, or it could be 9:30 tomorrow night if that's the first time I get a free moment. I don't have to worry about going and finding the channel and the time and make sure that it's appointment television, because appointment TV to watch Inside No.9 for me is whenever I can.
No, well, that's perfect. As you say, you've got that opportunity to find a program that's right for you.
And clearly, one of the things that people have come through and enjoyed is Inside No.9, again, because I think, as you said, it's not often you turn on a television show and get a new one every time you turn it on.
Yeah, I mean, it is part of the challenge of making the show. I mean, that's for sure. You're starting with a blank sheet of paper every time you go into production. So it takes us about a week to make each one, but each one has to have its own tone, its own setting, its own world. They're not in a linked universe. They're all absolutely individual stories. I mean, the only linking factor, of course, is that Reece, Shearsmith, and Steve Pemberton are in every one, or more or less everyone.
And the No.9.
And the No.9, I guess. But I mean, that is a very thin conceit, because it allows us to do almost anything.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, somehow, some way, the No.9 has to be in there.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes it's just a number on a basket, or the size of a shoe.
Hey, come on!
It's not.
A hook is a hook, right? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Doesn't matter whether it's an overt one or not. It's it's what makes the show.
Well, season 5 has a wide variety of nines.
Well, look at it this way.
The new series.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say.
The new season.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to say. So the new season has it on a football shirt. It has it on a police car. It has it on an advent calendar in the run up to Christmas. It's on a couple of houses as well. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that we have actually broadened out what No.9 is. It isn't just a property, or it isn't a house or a flat.
Right. It could be anything.
Yeah, totally.
That's very funny. There's a show that Lucy Lawless is doing out of Australia now, and the funny thing that she does with that is the title of the show can show up on a bus that runs by. It can be on. It could be on a napkin. It could be the fun. It's almost like a running gag that you watch the.
You just don't know where you're going to see it.
You have no idea where this particular week's program, where the title is going to pop up, and it's being mowed into a grass area one day. I mean, it's just crazy, and so you guys can do the same thing with No.9. You, as you say, you put it on a jersey, you put it, on whatever you feel like putting it on, and it still is integrated into the storyline. But now you've done a show, obviously, like Inside No.9, but you've also done series. Is it more difficult? Well, I'm assuming it is more difficult to do a new show every week as opposed to, going through a series.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, as I said, it is a challenge to do it. It's partly a challenge because we're still trying to do it on the same kind of budget that we'd be making a series. So you're trying to make these one-off films, but you're starting again, as I say, every week with a blank sheet of paper. So that's a bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I'm also working with Reece and Steve, who are producing all these scripts kind of by themselves. Nobody else writes with them. So you get a very, very kind of close working relationship with Reece and Steve. They're going to be in them. People are falling over themselves to act in it. So we get the cream of British acting talent to appear in all of these things. And, it's in that sense, it's a complete joy to make because it is such a sort of cachet to be in an Inside No.9 now for cast and people want to work on the show because it offers a kind of TV that doesn't really exist anywhere else. It's the closest to those old television plays that used to be around in the 70s.
It's kind of like, not exactly, obviously, but it's kind of like hosting Saturday Night Live. You want to be in it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's something that you can say you've done. And we sort of make a rule that there's no returning. So if you do it once, you don't get to do it again.
So no 25 episodes with Steve Martin then?
Oh, no. No, it's a kind of a rule that we're prepared to break if it's the right kind of thing. But so far, I don't think anybody has done two.
Well,
Reece and Steve have done most of them. I've provided some voiceovers on maybe half a dozen, but apart from that, no one else. No one else has done it. Oh yeah, you hear voices in the background coming out of a radio or phoning somebody up. Half the time it's me, half the time it's someone else.
Well, see, there you go. That's just yet another hat you have to wear in Inside No.9.
Well, it's all because it's basically a very small team and we all have to do it all ourselves.
Where do you shoot?
Not a very big machine. What do we shoot on?
Where do you do the productions?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Jim. I'm not quite following you. What's the question?
Yeah, the question was where do you guys?
Oh, where do I shoot? Where do we shoot?
Yeah, where do you produce the show?
Okay, well, it's produced out of London, and most of the time we're within 20 miles of the centre of London. The M25 motorway that goes around the outside of London is basically our limit. And occasionally we've gone slightly further afield. And this year, for the first time, we considered making the show out of London. But at the last minute, we reverted to form and just decided to do what we normally do, which is base ourselves out of television centre, which is the BBC's headquarters, and just kind of like plan our shooting from there. And we don't go very, very far, 10 or 20 miles maximum.
Well, as long as you're happy with where you are, then who cares, right?
Right. And it's all a question of the actual locations. If they're not a set, and we tend not to build too many sets because they're expensive, and we have to chuck them away after a week. So most of the time we're actually on location, but you're for the majority of the time you are only trying to find the interior of a house or an apartment.
Sure,
it's not an enormously hard job for a location manager because we don't look for several locations per episode, although sometimes that does change. I mean,
You're not shooting Downton Abbey.
No, we're exactly right. Yeah, we're not shooting Downton Abbey. Thank God.
Which is probably a good thing. It's
yeah, no, it is a good thing, and also it enables us to keep the whole thing, keep the scale of the thing quite claustrophobic, and that's one of the really nice things about trying to keep the kind of the tension in the episodes. If you have lots of big locations, you're kind of on a bound to show them, and of course, it's just the more expansive it is, the slower the piece will move.
Oh, absolutely. I know, talking to the folks from Vera and Doc Martin and other shows where the location becomes part of this. It's like another part of the show.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, it's like another character.
Yeah.
But you also make sure that you bring your design team and your art department along to kind of make sure that the locations do actually create a very individual world, a unique world for that particular week. So in the new season, we did build a set for the referee's changing room. That's a set. We built that out at Ealing Studios, where they filmed Downton Abbey, and we also built another apartment set, which is the second episode, Death Be Not Proud.
Cool.
But the rest of the time we were on location.
So you're talking about people who want desperately to be on the show. Who are some of the people that we can see in Series 5 that starts in just a couple of weeks?
So in Series 5, we've got David Morrissey, who's apparently been doing things like Britannia.
Great guy.
Yeah, Ralph Little, who's just taken over from Ardlo Hanlon in Death in Paradise. We've got Jenna Coleman, of course, who's ex-Doctor Who and been doing Victoria. We've got Finn Whitehead, who was in Bandersnatch, that Black Mirror, the interactive Black Mirror episode. We've also got Maxine Peake and Phil Davis. They're great. They're great.
And an all-star cast there.
Really? Yeah. As I say, we've got a wide range of guest roles in addition to trying to find a part for Reece and Steve every week.
Yeah. Of course, they write it, so they should figure out.
Well, yeah, but not always. So they write it, and they don't necessarily write themselves a part every week. But we've got one episode this year, which is basically just Reece and Steve in a car. So we don't really have any guest stars. We have a couple of day players who come along and do some bits. But there is one episode where they are just sitting tight all night, or 3 successive nights in a graveyard. On surveillance duties in a police car.
No, there you go. That should be that definitely doesn't take a big cast to make that one happen.
No, absolutely not. But by the time you brought a couple of police cars to a location and enormous cranes and to light up
that's true.
Well,
from a staffing
suddenly
standpoint,
you're spending it.
50
You're spending it all on electricians, and motor mechanics, and camera department, and that's where the budget goes that week. Yeah, absolutely. Getting all the guys there to make it.
I don't know if the guys play, but you're gonna have to do one from a golf hole at number 9.
Yeah, well, if it's not number 9 on a golf course or a number 9 London bus, those are the suggestions that we get regularly, but they always seem to have dodged those so far. I haven't seen the scripts for the new series because we announced the commission for 2 new series today. So that was the press release we put out today. So season 6 and season 7 have just gone into production.
Wow.
And we just started doing the script development, the read-throughs and rehearsals today. So it's all kicking off.
Well, you're getting closer to that house on the Riviera.
Well, you'd think that, wouldn't you? But I'm afraid not. We're not. We're not as. It's not as lucrative as you might imagine. This is a BBC show with a BBC budget.
Well, okay. Let's perhaps time. So it does. It's all relative, right?
Yeah, it's all relative. Yeah, it's nice to be in production. So these current seasons that they've just commissioned will take us to 2022.
Wow!
And that means we'll have been in production for 10 years. For 10 years, we'll have been working on this show.
Wow, that's phenomenal. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's quite something to keep a project going for that long.
Especially one like this that really changes every week.
Well, you're right. I mean, there was quite a large body of opinion held by quite a lot of people on the production that thought, well, we'll be lucky if we get away with doing one season of 6, and then we maybe we'll get a second season. but I don't think anybody thought that we'd still be going after 10 years.
I have a friend, and his name's Ken Isaacs, and Ken wrote for Cheers, and and Ken said to me that Ken Levine, I'm sorry, I said Ken Isaacs, Ken Levine, and Ken said to me, I'm not quitting. He was actually a baseball announcer, and he wrote 3 scripts for Cheers. And he said, I said, are you going to leave baseball? He goes, no. He says, because I never, you never know when this is going to stop. And so after they finished their 10th year, I said, Ken, now might be a good time to to move on. I think you've accomplished the ability to say now that you've got a steady job here after 10 years. But to make 10 years in any type of television is just amazing. So congratulations. That.
Well, I mean, I have to thank the BBC, who have been incredibly loyal to us.
Mm-hmm.
They have kept commissioning the show. We've never had to transmit an episode, a season of Inside No.9 to find out whether we were going to be picked up again. We always knew we were going to be picked up before they started transmitting each series. So we've always been in that position of having a fairly secure future. The only thing that isn't secure is knowing when the BBC are going to put them out, and then sometimes the shows sit on the shelf for a few months before they're ready. We don't tend to transmit them close to delivery. We usually deliver them in the spring, and the BBC keeps them for the autumn. So we do get a bit of a hiatus.
But that's such a rare.
Go back into production.
Such a rare situation that happens.
Yeah, well, but then that's also part of the fun of only making 6.
Sure.
If we were in a higher volume business, we'd be trying to make 10 for Netflix or Amazon, or we'd be making more for a network, or it would just be we'd be commoditizing what we were doing, just desperately trying to produce more and more of these things.
It'd be a grind.
It would be a grind. And although Reece and Steve complain about having to do it, oh my God, where are we going to find another 6 episodes and another 6 different ideas? They always manage it. So just by doing 6 a year, we could just about live at the limit of what they can achieve in terms of writing and being in it and producing it.
Well, I know that our time is coming near, so where can we follow you guys on social media? And let's talk a little bit about what you'd like to people to look out for, in the series.
Well, you can. We have a hashtag, which is the hashtag is Inside No.9. That's Inside No.9, and that's all one word. And Reece Shearsmith can be followed on @Reece Shearsmith. Reece is spelled R-E-E-C-E. Shearsmith is SHEARSMITH. And you can follow me on @Adam Tandy, ADAMTANDY.
We'll put all of that in the show box below so that everybody will be able to follow you on Twitter, and we'll hashtag the dickens out of Inside No.9.
Well, that's great. And if you can, Steve is also on Twitter, but not very often. He's a reluctant Twitter user, but his handle is @SP One Night Only. Number one.
Okay.
So SP #1 Night Only.
Well, we'll take care of getting him in there too, so that everybody is not left off. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to another outstanding series of Inside No.9. And now, as you told us, even more to come. So that's the best of all news.
Great, Jim. We hope you enjoy the season.
Special thanks to Adam Tandy, the producer of Inside No.9. All the information on the show is in our show box below. We thank Adam, and we hope that you check out on BrtBox Inside No.9 streaming now. We'll be back with more right after this.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW I, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Now, if you've not become one of the over 50,000 people worldwide who have joined our party, well, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we make it simple. It's free. That's right. You can find us in the Apple Podcast Store. We can also be found in Google Podcasts. So go through Google Play to get us there. You can find us on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, just to name a few. Now, for some reason, you can't find us. Well, simple enough. All you have to do is go out, pull up the old Google machine, type in Stream On with Jim Williams, hit the favorite button or play button, and you're going to get a new edition of the podcast delivered to your phone, your tablet, or to both on a weekly basis. Okay, so do that today. We would greatly appreciate it. Speaking of greatly appreciating, we greatly appreciate Adam Tandy, who is the producer of Inside No.9, and by all means, check it out. It is streaming now on BrtBox. That's Inside No.9. Highly recommend. Okay? All right. Well, so as you are sheltered in place, as we all are, going a little stir crazy, look, this is a time when it's very important that you know that what you're doing right now is keeping people safe, is keeping people healthy, and while it might be a pain, it is necessary. So please do your best. Keep with it. By all means, at JW Media on Twitter, hit us up. Give us some questions. We're always there to answer. We will do our best to get some answering going on. We're going to do some Facebook Live stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun, together trying to get through this trying times. And give me some of your favorite thoughts on what you're streaming or what you're binging at this point in time. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff out there to binge. So by all means, give me some of your favorites, and I'll give you some of yours, some of mine to you as well. All right. So from the entire team here at Stream On, I'm Jim Williams saying thanks very much for joining us. And come on back next week. We're going to have a lot more fun with some folks from BritBox and the BBC. Okay. So until that time, I'm Jim Williams, and hoping that you're both happy and safe out there. Until next time, thanks very much for joining us right here on Stream On.